Sorry, kid, but it's grown-up time. What is it we do here on the Red Pill? We swap notes. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have heard all kinds of different stories about us, so I'm here to give you a glimpse inside the locker room. Who am I? I'm Ryan. I used to be one of these guys. Just like you, I was good with women and relationships, but I wasn't great at it. And when hard times hit, things got tough, and it turns out there is nowhere for a man to go to solve these problems and learn to thrive. So, we built this space based on the experiences of hundreds of thousands of men just like you. It's men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room. My daughter turns 18 in 2 months. Her mother and I have been divorced for 10 years. I don't want to get into the gory details, but there are so many terrible things I could list here, I'm just not going to waste our time going through it all. Imagine all the court dealings, the incessant perjury, the lies, the deception, false accusations, you name it, she did it. Just the most hateful, bitter woman you could ever imagine. A few years ago, I decided to take a step back from the feud happening between my ex and I conceded on visitations. I essentially put it into the kids' hands. If and when you want to see me, come see me. The visitations that followed were few and far between. But I miss my older children, a lot. And I would like to now attempt to strengthen the relationship between us. There are many good things happening in my life and some exciting things on the horizon. I would love for my kids to share it in that good fortune. So my daughter, last summer, got a job and managed to save up about $1,500, which I thought was good. My ex had an old Impala, 2005 I'm thinking. My daughter was driving that around, leaving my ex and her unemployed boyfriend to share his broken down 1995 Tahoe for work commutes and transportation. I offered to match my daughter's saving on the condition that she spend more time with us and her grandparents. The idea was, hey, I'm not your ATM. You need to be a part of this family and come see us once in a while if you want to enjoy the perks of being in this family. I'm not going to hand over cash for a car to a kid that refuses to see me. My daughter ended up refusing the offer, and I'm sure she was manipulated by my ex, and accepted a counteroffer from my ex, that she'd buy her mother's car. Then some karma happens. My daughter hydroplanes into a curb, causing $900 of damage. Well, there goes the down payment. So, the car is fixed, and my daughter is driving it all over again for 5 or 6 months until she gets into another car accident. This time she runs into the back of a guy and gets cited. Goodbye affordable insurance premiums. So I decide, maybe now is the time I extend my offer again. I have some money set aside. I could write a check right now for a decent college kid's car. She graduates in December. Something more fun than a 2005 Impala with 150,000 miles. All she has to do is come over and spend a little time with her 7-year-old brother who keeps asking to see his sister. Oh, and she has to be kind and respectful to my wife and I. That's it. Cha-ching, new car. I talk to her, and basically all I hear is the same garbage that spewed out of my ex-wife's mouth 10 years ago when we got divorced. Some real nasty stuff that a child should never say to her father. I'm like, aren't you tired of being a good little soldier in this idiotic war your mother wages on me? I'm offering you a car. A pretty nice one in comparison to what you're used to. Are you thinking this through? It's not like I'm asking you to quit Team Mom and join Team Dad. I just want a little normalcy. I just want to see my kid and spend a little time with her. Apparently that's too much to ask. The seething hatred my ex has for me is still palpable, and now will live on my daughter as well. In the years past, I didn't really blame my daughter. I didn't hold her to account, but in my heart, knew she was just a kid being manipulated to serve her mom's interests. Now I think things are different. She's going to be 18 in less than 2 months. She's an adult now, and it's time for her to bear the responsibility for her own behavior. If she hasn't wised up by now that her mom has manipulated her into being a method to hurt me, then it's not going to be happening anytime soon, maybe never. I have to accept that. Told my daughter, the door's open to you, but you have to want to walk through it. She made the unfortunate choice to do otherwise. I guess I'll take that money and give it to an attorney to get the child support reduced now that she's turning 18 and graduating high school. Whoops. Life is full of choices. Sometimes people are so consumed with their own selfish, resentful bull that they really don't think things through to the fullest extent. I mean, this whole thing is so crazy it amuses me. They would rather spit in my face than get the help that they sorely need. I decided I'm not going to feel terrible about it while my wife and I spend the next weekend at the beach house we rented. Sorry, kid, but it's grown-up time. A couple of terms before we get started. Sisterhood uber alice. I think I'm pronouncing that right. My Latin's not very good. Essentially, that's the idea that women will generally take the side of women over men, and men generally take the side of women over men. It's because eggs are expensive, sperm is cheap. In this case, the courts decided that the wife gets the custody of daughter, the daughter takes mom's side, the mom takes the daughter's side, and dad's kind of left out in the cold. It is what it is. And in this case, dad's kind of forgetting that because he's so focused on his own little personal problems with the ex-wife that he's forgetting that the daughter is still a person and there still needs to be... And dad is so focused on the dehumanizing aspect of treating his daughter as an extension of his ex-wife's vitriol that he's not paying attention to the things that are right in front of him. Yes, in this case, she's most likely weaponizing the daughter against him, but that only works if there's something to grab onto. The problem is he doesn't really have the self-awareness to notice what is it he's doing that's enabling this instinct to work as effective as it has for the last 18 years. Once you understand that, it becomes much easier to move forward. But just dehumanizing a person and saying they're a weaponized extension of their mother, probably not the healthiest mental model to have. Covert contracts are huge. Covert contract is the idea that if you do something, the other person will respond in a certain way. And when it doesn't happen, because it never does, you'll end up building a feedback loop of resentment and entitlement. In this case, dad had the idea that if he just decided to be a good dad through sharing his wealth with other people, in this case his daughter, offering the car when she's down on her luck, that she'll end up loving him the way that he expected his daughter to. Now, women are very good at detecting this kind of very clunky manipulation, and they don't like it. Not only do they not like it, but they actively fight against it. So that's something to keep in mind when you see a guy doing this. He's actively sabotaging himself, and in this case, he's sabotaging the relationship he has with his daughter. As much of this red pill stuff we talk about is usually focused on a man with a girl he met at the bar, a man and his wife, a man and his girlfriend, a man with a girl she's just dating. In this case, the father-daughter relationship, just because you're sharing the same DNA, doesn't mean she's not a woman and doesn't respond to the same social cues that any other woman would work with. In this case, he's not running any kind of loving father comfort. Negotiating desire, I cannot think of anything that's more dangerous for a man than negotiating desire, and this guy is doing it in spades. It's painfully obvious. There's actually a great response from Archwinger, and if you don't know who he is, he's one of the more popular writers in this place. Came up with a lot of good concepts that we still use today. He said, and I quote, "Money doesn't make women love you, stupid. Kudos to your daughter for not pretending anything in order to rob you. Like with any other relationship, the best route is to be awesome and live an awesome life, with or without her. She'll come around on her own, or she won't." And that's the key to this whole thing, but we're going to get to that in the advice. My advice for this guy, and to be fair, we did give advice to this guy, and he completely lashed out at everybody. And it got so bad, the mods eventually had to remove him. As far as I know, he's the only guy who actually got flared by the married red pill community, which usually means at least a few of the guys have noticed he kind of knows what he's doing. He's achieved some things in his life. He's basically gotten over that hump, and he had his life self-actualized. But this big glaring blind spot made him the only one that I can think of who had his flare stripped and banned. The funny thing was, once we was in mod mail, he was starting to send pictures of that vacation home he was talking about to us, as if he would think that we screwed up based on all the fun he was having in that place, which is very cringe. But you can already see it there. He's got that same validation seeking with anybody who will listen about this scenario. He didn't want to be a good dad. He wanted to be right, and he wanted to stick it to his ex-wife. I'm sure you've often heard me say, you can be a good dad or you can raise good kids. Well, if you weren't sure how this maps, this is how it maps right here. So how does this affect you? It's one of those things that you have to be aware of, especially if you plan on having a family someday, or if you're having one right now and you're running into problems. Just because you share DNA with people doesn't mean that they aren't still women at the end of the day. All those tools we talked about, being aloof, muse mastery, agree and amplify, fogging, abundance, outcome independence, these things matter for more than just having sex. They matter for raising families. They matter for dealing with people on individual levels, whether they're in a relationship with you, related to you, or not. What's in it for you is if in these extreme examples, you're able to still pull through a congruent strategy that helps you out, then you're much better able to handle the small events. Problem with these things is when you catch guys that are young and they don't have any attachments, they get very black and white with this. Well, if she pulls this stuff, just leave her. If she does this, just leave her. Just leave her. Always about nexting the girl. Ask another guy to do this once he's had a daughter for 12 years and see if he still has that ability just to walk away. And guarantee you, once you get into that moral murky water where somebody's actually invested in their kids, which, I mean, you're a father, you're supposed to be, right? But when you put a guy into this situation, see if he can still hold fast to these boundaries he set before, because I guarantee you, most of these guys talking tough now will still buckle when this situation comes up for them. And that's what's in it for you. Be aware of the moral landscape that you're walking into, and you're going to see why a lot of people act the way they act. And a lot of people really require good strategy to get out of this. So it's not just about what you're doing today, but you're focusing on what's going to happen tomorrow and how you can deal with it. An alternative for this, straightforward. What do you do when you're raising your kid and you got your wife? Raise your kid as best you can, be the best father you can, raise them as healthily as you can. Don't be their friend, but at the same time, don't try to buy their love off with cars. Negotiating desire doesn't work with women in any regards. If it's the case where the wife is weaponizing your kids, well, consider this. In the car example, one of two scenarios. Either you lend your kid the car money because you're a dad and that's what you do, with no strings attached, or you don't trust her enough to be able to not smash this one up and you don't do it because that's the way that you're going to have her learn a lesson. Either way, using it as some form of leverage against the mother, probably not the smartest idea. And not gonna lie, it's kind of unattractive generally. I can't imagine how his wife has taken this, but she can't look at him thinking that this is the greatest guy in the world. But the vacation was probably pretty nice, I'm sure. Anyways, I'm gonna let you go on this one. We'll catch you on the next one, guys. Have fun and cheers.